All right, we'll now link up with Shoma Moimodu and TJ Suadeye in our Abuja studios for the conversation around developments we are seeing regarding cross-carpeting from one party to the other. Good morning, guys. Thank God it's Friday. That's what I wanted to say. But interesting conversation and looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank God it's Friday. Thank you. Good morning, Veronica.
Good morning. You can take over the conversation now.
The table is...
Right.
All right. The table is full this morning, so let's quickly go into what we have for our viewers now.
Right.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for staying tuned to TVC Breakfast. Now, barely 24 hours ago, we told you that the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, ordered the withdrawal of mobile police officers from VIPs across Nigeria. Now, that order was contained in a statement released by the spokesman of the Nigerian Police Force, Muyiwa Adejobi, who stated that the move is part of the reorganization of the police mobile force. And the concern now is the diversion of police personnel to non-core roles, including escort and guard duties for private individuals and VIPs, a trend which has undermined the unit's effectiveness.
Our guests on the show, a special envoy to the Plateau State Governor on Peace and Security, Professor Chris Kwaja, alongside a global close protection analyst, Oluwafemi Aratokunle, made very impactful and insightful statements, pushing the narrative further in the next 10 minutes. We will be having the second part of the discussion with the Executive Director, Center for Public Accountability, Oluwafemi Lawson. Thank you for joining us on the show this morning, Mr. Lawson.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Now, the Inspector General of Police says he's committed to reforming the police force. But let's be honest here. The biggest resistance seems to be coming from within. Why is the Nigerian police force fighting its own reform?
Well, I think it is important to say that sometimes, even though as society, as media, we have a responsibility not only to criticize, but to also commend where necessary. It is not impossible that you experience this kind of resistance, just like you put it, even though they are not publicly made by those who are opposed to the ongoing reforms, from any institution that seeks change. What is currently happening deserves commendation as far as the moves by the leadership of the police force, are concerned, especially when you look at the fact that, a lot of institutions within the force in the past have been misdirected, out of their focus. For instance, the PMF that you are talking about, while growing up, we used to know the police mobile force, as anti-riot unit of the police. This is an elite force that, you rarely find. But today, it has gotten to an extent that, you even find mobile policemen escorting comedians, celebrities, and all sort of private individuals all over the country, leaving their core responsibility. So what is currently happening is part of the reforms that we have demanded as Nigerians, particularly the role of our security agencies. So if you make a change, the resistance will not only come from outside, there must be tendencies within the system that be opposed, because if you look at the deployment of these PMF officers for private guard duties, for private individual assignments, they are usually not from the leadership of the police force. Each PMF unit has a commander, has a squadron commander. So it's not impossible that a PMF commander somewhere in Kefi or somewhere in Anambra, is directly patronizing some of these private individuals, releasing personnel to them, as against their role of being a standby force in case of an uprising, in case of riot, in case of emergencies in our society. So there will be resistance, not only from outside, but from people even within the system who are benefiting. And it is very impressive to listen to the IGP giving sound warning to the squadron leaders about what is expected of them on why men of the PMF must now be deployed to their area of core mandate, not just for, action. And I need to also say that this does not have to do with VIPs alone, because I read that statement and I watched the visual of that conference with the PMF commanders, and I want to say that it was a directive that has to do with every private individuals, even organizations that have been that have been engaging this squadron units of the police
all right.
to
Mr. Lawson,
of the men against their core responsibility.
Mr. Lawson,
yes,
now it's interesting that you said that the IGP should be commended. Yes, he has his own commendation. But the question now is, I think, when he took over as the IGP, just like we've also had previous IGPs give such orders that they're withdrawing police personnel from unauthorized duties. Over time, we realized that that instruction, which ought to be followed to the very conclusion, had never been effective. Now, for effective policing, with this latest instruction from the IGP, do you think he has the political will to drive to conclusion, to closure his directive and sanction whoever violates it?
Well, I think we must also get something right. The withdrawal of police from unauthorized duties does not totally mean that private citizens, private individuals, particularly the VIP, would not have access to police protection. It's a fact. It's applicable in every society. But the police has a special unit, a special protection unit where it deploys personnel to guard VIPs, to guard private individuals, especially people in businesses, and the corporate services who may require this protection of the police. But what the IGP is doing, from my own point of view anyway, I'm not a police officer, is such that seeks to enforce discipline, not from the root, but even from the top. Because if you cannot ensure that or enforce discipline through the officers, through the commanders of this unit, it may be difficult.
Mr. Lawson was seem to have lost our connection there. Yeah, I think commendation for the IGP, but he must demonstrate the willpower.
Well, people would say that results before commendation. A lot of people still have a lot of questions unanswered, a lot of internal insecurity happening within states. So if you say he has done a lot of work and yet people cannot pinpoint what he has done, would you say they should give him
commendation? Then the responsibility is on the police force to show us what they have done.
Yes, he should do his work, like they say, show workings before you...
Okay, Lawson, you're back. So let's conclude with the thoughts you have over there.
Right, for me, I think, like I said, what is most important is now holding leadership accountable. And what IGP is doing, from my point of view, like I said, is not just to begin to look for one mobile policeman or the other, that is undermining the authority of the institution on the street, but holding their commanders responsible. I think that's one of the core resolutions of that conference. That henceforth, we will now begin to hold commanders of this squadron leaders of this PMF unit responsible for any act of indiscipline, unauthorized deployment of their personnel. And I think it's one step forward that, it used to be a blanket, directive, PMF, nobody policemen attached to VIP, this and that. But now, the IGP is specific, and I think the police force has a duty to do more in ensuring that not only PMF commanders, commissioners of police, divisional police officers are held responsible for the actions of their men.
Okay, Mr. Lawson, just this last question for you. The SPU, the Special Protection Unit, are they effectively trained to take over the duties of protecting VIP so that we don't have a repeated resistance from these particular people in the society?
That is their specialization. And even for other categories of other units of the force, just like I read in that statement you quoted, the IGP has now mandated it that every quarter, each unit of the PMF must be sent, for training, not just on professionalism, on ethics, or even equipping them, for more efficiency in their job. I know the police is doing a lot, but more has to be done in order to ensure that at least we have not just a combat-ready police unit, but a police unit that is also ethical and professional in its approach towards a policing job.
All right, Mr. Olufemi Lawson, we must thank you so much for your time with us on the program this morning. It was nice speaking with you.